2023 has been packed to the gills with huge releases from so many of the big publishers. It's hard not to get lost in your Zeldas, Star Wars, your Final Fantasies, and so on, but underneath all of that, there's a non-stop stream of smaller titles that also deserve attention. I try my best to play a good amount of indie titles each year, but I will admit that this year I've been giving a lot of priority to the big AAA titles. However, I was able to set some time aside for a game I've had my eyes on for several months now in Bleak Sword DX. Developed by More 8-Bit, published by Devolver Digital, and originally acting as an Apple Arcade exclusive from 2019, Bleak Sword DX is now available to play on the Switch and Steam, and it's only $10. Bleak Sword is a top-down, level-based action game with a simplistic, yet in my eyes, beautiful visual style. The game presents itself in only black, white, and red, a color scheme that always works for me, and its great mood-setting soundtrack really does wonders to make you glue yourself to the screen. The game is divided up into several different areas, all with their own visual theming, music, enemies, and gimmicks, culminating to a boss blocking your way to the next section of the game. The basic premise of Bleak Sword DX is you're a dude with a sword, and you're working your way through diorama-esque levels, killing a wide range of enemies with solid and easy to learn dodge roll, sword swinging combat. There are pros and cons to the simplicity of the combat, pros being it's easy to learn and pick up on, basically roll away, get your sword swings in, parry an enemy or two for big damage, rinse and repeat. The cons being the moment-to-moment gameplay, at least from the perspective of the player control, stays the same from start to finish. The variety in the gameplay really comes from the enemies and their individual movesets, as well as whatever different overworld gimmicks the world you're in happen to have. I call this a con because I do like to have some opportunities in-game for player expression as to how they want to choose to play the game and build their characters. The only player expression in this game comes from choosing what stat to improve when leveling up, HP, attack, or defense, and picking a couple held items. But the challenges put in front of you do a pretty good job of providing an experience that builds on itself and doesn't feel too stale, making up for the lack of meaningful change on the player side. The enemy layouts are always changing, level to level, world to world, and each enemy feels distinct. Seeing new enemies can be intimidating when you don't know their moveset yet, but once you experience an enemy a few times and learn their attack patterns, you start to take them down in almost autopilot mode. Certain enemies can be parried easily, some need to be baited into attacks and roll dodged away for an opening just to have an opportunity to strike, some can just be bum rushed to kill before they even start spamming projectiles at you. The game turns into a sort of dance where you the player go from one enemy to the next trying to dispose of the nearest threat before the next enemy can spawn and overwhelm you. These moments may feel extremely powerful and like I was constantly learning and improving. The game can be demanding, it's not super easy by any means, but if you do get to a level that just isn't clicking for you, you're free to go back to previously completed stages and grind up some levels to improve your damage output and survivability and try again as an all-new, more powerful you. The base game has you completing stages to advance through the story areas covering castles, swamps, snowy fields, and burned down towns, but Bleak Sword DX also includes a boss rush mode and arena that you can just hop into if you want to test your skills and kill a few minutes. There's a full bestiary with detailed descriptions of each enemy you come across that I loved going back to and reading, and a fun page of statistics that shows just how many times you've died and how many enemies you took down with you and so much more. The game has cutscenes that bookend each area, all kind of setting the mood for what to expect for what's in front of you and setting up the boss enemies. These cutscenes were short and to the point, but did a great job of setting the tone. In the settings, there's also a quality or performance mode option for the game, but I always stuck to the performance mode. I'm not sure if this is a Nintendo Switch thing or a thing with the game itself, but the extra effects on the quality mode, which did look pretty cool, were not worth feeling like I was wading through the mud, which was an unfortunate side effect. I wanted that smooth, clean experience that performance mode offered, and the game still looked great thanks to unique art style and level design. Bleak Sword DX is a great, easy to consume and be consumed by action game I think more people should try out. While the overall gameplay loop can be seen as fairly simple, the game takes that simple setup and executes on it very well through great level design, fun, varied enemies and monsters, all presented through a great, retro-looking art style and soundtrack that will eat its way into you and have you tapping along with it while you kill everything that's in your way. Final score, 8.5 out of 10. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this review, I would really appreciate it if you could leave a like on this video on your way out, or consider subscribing. And if you made it this far, I really do appreciate your time and support. Thanks again. See you next time.